Welcome to Light Logic, the podcast that discusses everything you need to know about low voltage lighting. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You're listening to Light Logic.
Hi, everyone. Brian Qualls here, host of the Light Logic podcast. Today we had Steve Hoover. Steve's a really good friend of mine. I've known him for over 10 years. It was a real pleasure talking with him today. Always, he's just an easy person to talk to. But this was a great podcast. We were getting kind of the perspective on the maintenance side of the business of how to incorporate lighting as a maintenance contractor versus as an install. So Steve's got fantastic experience. He brought some really great insight today, and I enjoyed talking to him. I hope you enjoy listening to it, and thanks for listening. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for listening. I'm Brian Qualls with Unique Lighting, and this is the Light Logic podcast. And I'm excited today to introduce Steve Hoover from Siteworks. I've known Steve a long time. I'm really excited that he's here. But Steve, thanks for joining me today and kind of talking. So there's no one better to introduce themselves than yourself. So tell the listeners kind of a little bit about who you are and a little bit about Siteworks.
Sure, Brian. Well, longtime friend, amigo, and I thank you very much for thinking of me to have me on your guys' podcast. And we're a local Arizona landscape company, Siteworks, multifaceted. Pretty much everything you can imagine for a landscape company under one roof. We have a huge development wing that does a lot of installations, everything from multi-million-dollar sports facilities, master plan communities, corporate campuses, hospitals, you name it, on the installation side. And then we have a maintenance side as well, which handles some of the smaller enhancement installations. A lot of lighting goes into that segment of the business. And then we do long-term maintenance for mostly resorts, commercial, hospitality, once again, hospitals, and then a full tree care arbor service. So we're, we love being a local Arizona company. We're all pretty much local boys, born and raised here. We have this affinity for the local market, and we're blessed. We just heard yesterday from Lawn and Landscape that we cracked into the top 50 national companies on their 100 list. So
that's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. That's great to hear.
From a year coming out of 2020 with COVID and everything else that locked us down, we are absolutely blessed. So had about a 25% growth, got up over $45 million last year. And, a great segment of that is finding all of these new avenues of opportunities for us. And that kind of brings us full circle into the lighting conversation that we're going to have today.
Yeah. Awesome. So again, the name of the company, Siteworks. How long you guys been around?
2004.
2004. So
yeah. So not a very old company, about 16 years here, 17 years. But things are on a great trajectory.
Yeah. Like I said, not a very old company, but I know your partners, there's probably, I'm exaggerating, 600 years worth of experience underneath the roof over there. But just a well-run company, great group of guys. So it's always been a pleasure working with you from my end. So you mentioned what type of projects you focus on. So the big thing I kind of want to tell our listeners. So if you listen to our last podcast, I had Wes on, and Wes is, as you all know, is a friend of mine, and actually a friend of Steve's as well. And they focus on the installation. But one thing that why I wanted to bring Steve on today is because he manages the maintenance side of Siteworks, and as the head part of that's where I want to kind of get to our listeners of two things really of today is how important is it to bring in lighting to kind of an existing maintenance contract. Mm-hmm. And then the big thing I really want to spend our time on today is right now everyone is so busy, and I keep thinking of that caption that we've seen it, the old one where it's the old guard where everyone's fighting with swords and the guy's rolling up with a Gatling gun and the general says, I don't have any time to talk to any salesman today, right? And to go through, and that's kind of where we're at. So I know I just said a lot really, really fast, but really let's talk about maintenance and lighting and kind of your experience of getting into that realm of the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I really, once again, not to pat you on the back, old buddy, but I got to say, when you went over to Unique, you really, your diligence in coming in and visiting with me and being in a presence that we could rely on was huge. So thank you for that, because truthfully, in the maintenance in the total landscape business, we focus so much on the horticulture. I mean, that's what we go to school for. That's what we do. The Landscape Contractors Association, and we go through all of their trainings, and we focus on making things green, making things pretty, and making things neat. And there, we sometimes get so tunnel vision that we don't focus on those ancillary opportunities that we have to, really grow our business and find some great other revenue streams. And when you came in, we were doing a couple little projects. We were doing some enhancement projects, some renovations to some HOA entrances and things like that, taking them out of line voltage. They didn't have the money to restore the old hardwired line voltage type of system, but they needed some pop. And, you came in as my wingman, and we did some designs, and we put some things together. And, that's literally when the, no pun intended, light bulb went off in my head. And I go, hey, this one, it was pretty easy. Two, we made good margin on it, and it was a very cool new venue for us to start exploring. And so, it's a kind of a different product line, but one of the transferables is if you have a really good irrigation tech that's good at wiring controllers, the guy can put together a lighting system. So
that's a great point. I kind of want to go back to your comment. Is we all get into that, especially now. Everyone is just so busy. We do get into that tunnel vision, and you get to that point to where especially, and probably a lot of your guys, even your foremen, are okay. I've got to visit 5 sites today. I've only got time to visit 4, so we got to get in, get out, be efficient, but still do a good job. And are they stepping over broken fixtures? Are they stepping over a fixture that is line voltage that hasn't worked in 4 years that we could easily convert to low voltage? Because again, we don't have to be electricians. We don't have to be, a landscape contractor, especially in Arizona, but for most part can install, low voltage lighting. That it comes down to just asking the question.
Yep.
Right. How, whether it's the property manager or the board or whoever it is. I mean,
right.
What was your experience been on the approach?
Yeah, and it is an education for all of our guys. And one of the things we instill in our foremen and our site superintendents is, ownership of their property, and to really have their head on a swivel and start to look for those things. So, our guys look for broken bollards and broken light fixtures and things like that, and they put it into their daily reports. But it gives us that key to look, what fixture is this? Is it a line fixture? Is it, one of the great jobs that you've been helping me with is one of our large resorts here in town that has an old 24-volt system, and none of the components are manufactured for that anymore. So we are now transitioning that whole entire resort property over to the unique 12-volt system, and putting honestly better fixtures in there, adjusting lights, making putting the better beam focus and things like that on the elements that we're lighting. And that is one of the things that I guess maybe we're lucky in Arizona. It's so darn hot here. We get on our properties when it's dark. So it's really easy to roll up on a property and say, boy, that's lit over there, but the Saguaro's not lit, or this isn't lit, and then we can investigate why. Is there even lights there, or is it, a malfunction in the system? So, that opens the door. We kick the door wide open. It's
well, and the other side too. I mean, and I think there's a lot of people out there, and when I say people, I'm meaning our customers, the HOAs, the resorts, that when we say low voltage, it gets the quick wave. No, we're a light commercial. We're a commercial property. We can't put low voltage, and the technology is advanced to a point with the LEDs that, I mean, I'm hitting 3-story, buildings with some of our Part 36s. And like you said, that project out there, I mean, it was a Casino, Arizona. I mean, that's we're in the parking lot lighting trees. It's, we've come a long way.
Well, it really has.
That education as well.
Yeah, that's the education that you have to bring to them. And that's where, teaming up with guys like you, or teaming up with a local light specific distributor, I'll emphasize that, because that was just a conversation I was having the other day. I found a phenomenal lighting distributor here in town. I can give him a shout out if you guys don't mind, but he's a great advocate for low voltage lighting. I can take him to meetings with me. He can talk the talk that I might not be able to speak to so eloquently. And, it's great having somebody that's specific from a lighting distributor like that, because, I equate it like buying lighting from a big irrigation house is like buying irrigation material from Home Depot. you're not going to get the same level of expertise or experience. And so, we got resources in here. We have our reps, and we have the distributors that can come with us and talk to those big jobs, and that brings out the element of, we can start educating them on how long LEDs last, how far they can light, all of those sorts of things. Because LED technology, I think, has really brought it to the point where it's much more feasible for a lot of properties.
Yeah, and I think that's another point too. I mean, like we're, a lot of us that are running these businesses or that I'm dealing with are these, big strapping men that don't want to admit that they don't know something. And it's okay to bring in an expert, right? I mean, that's part of my job is to be that right-hand man. And, you have the relationship with the customer, but when they start asking the specific questions of how long is it going to last? What's the warranty? And, you've got to know, like you said, horticulture and flowers and irrigation. It's like, for you to remember all that, it's like lean on your local resources. You're lucky enough that you've got a great rep in the area and a great distributor in the area. But we've got reps all over that's what they live. They love to do. So all right, I kind of want to transition a little bit over to my second question of that long question I asked at the beginning is, with this being as busy as we are, right? And Steve, I mean, I've known you since forever, and we scheduled to get together, right? We don't just like get up, right? We're both are so busy that even before the latest craziness, you were still a very, very busy guy. So how do you find time for this stuff? Or what would your advice, let me put it this way, your advice to other contractors out there that are listening to this saying, next year I'm going to do lighting, or in 6 months, what's your advice for that?
Sure. We can't do it all, and that's the thing as a business owner, no matter what phase of the business, from, a smaller company that, you're kind of the one-man show, you really have to teach your people how to do this and how to look for the opportunities. And that's the biggest thing is, I am blessed with the size of the business that we are, that I have a rock star team that really kills it on a day-to-day basis. But it goes back to educating them to what the important aspects of the business is. Obviously, a new revenue stream is a very important aspect of any business. So train your guys to look for it, and then as those guys mature from, potentially the superintendent position to an account manager position to, one of the regional managers, a different branch manager, they have that acumen so that they're carrying the company, pushing the company line, looking for these opportunities on every job that we have. It's not one of those things, because I can't do it all, and I would love to. It's one of my favorite things to do is get out in front of all of our clients and shake hands and, talk this type of stuff. But it goes into the education of your people. So, the number one biggest limiting growth factor that I have today is labor and employees. But the ones that I have, I make the most of the opportunities that they present by, just training them. And you've come in and done training for our guys. Mike's come in and done training for our guys from Sonoran Lighting. And, so that type of thing, it just kind of sets that stone. So when they're out there on property, they see it.
Yeah. And the other thing too that I've noticed, especially the size of your company, and even it doesn't have to be very big, but it goes back to asking the question. I think a lot of business owners would be surprised how many guys on their current crew would be excited to learn about lighting or want to do something different, or and again, I think that tunnel vision goes all the way down to your guys that are working for you, right? That they get to the point, it's like, I got to get up and mow this lawn and make sure I fix this valve and do that. No one's asking them, hey, if we brought in lighting, would you be interested in learning it? No, I've done lighting in my last job. I mean, you just ask that question. My point, I think it's a lot easier than a lot of people think it is.
It really is, and that's one of the things. And I mean, I guess it goes back to everybody's, specific company structure, but, you incentivize guys appropriately, from it's your field guys that might want to jump in and install something and go through the education process of learning it, to my guys that are out there selling it. You give them that carrot at the end of the stick, and they're going to run for it. Sure. So,
So with that kind of selling it side, I mean, that, and I need to set a whole other podcast, because I get that question, how do I sell it? So that could be, again, another whole other podcast, but real quick, what would you say is important, or how do you set the expectation when you've got that sale, or you're closing the sale on with your client or with your customers? Like, what, being able to set that expectation of cost, how it's going to look, maintenance. I mean,
sure.
How does that
Well,
work?
in a lot of situations, we have a lot of great clients that we've had long-term relationships with. So we really go into the beginning of the year talking budgets. So, that's one of the big things is if we have a budget opportunity, their landscape looks great. We just did the granite refresh, whatever those extras might be, and they have some sort of budget and they're like, what else can we do? Well, you got this 20-year-old uplighting from cans that are on your palm trees and, you don't see the palm trees anymore. You bring in the conversation of let's bring some new technology into it. And that's, one of the things everybody loves, that little, tickle of new technology because they think they're getting something new and trick. So you start looking at the greatest opportunity, how you can partner with your client and make the most of their budget. And then, start implementing the lighting conversation, because then, once again, you've done it for me at one of my biggest resorts, and my distributor's done it for me multiple times of bringing out and doing a display. And when we did a lighting display at our big resort, from their old system to putting the lights in and the new system, I literally sent them a picture that night and they said, sold, done. Send us the paperwork.
I still have that on picture on my phone.
Yeah, and that was literally from a photograph. The guys weren't even out there. They got such an amazing impression by just a photograph. So you do that on any of your commercial, multifamily, HOA type of thing, and you do that and you get that wow factor. Really helps push that across the finish line.
Yeah, so to kind of bring that back a little bit for those that are listening, what Steve's talking about is the nighttime demo. So every single one of our reps have a demo kit. A lot of contractors have the demo kits, but to be able to set that up rather than showing pictures of this is what someone else's looks like, we're showing what their we did a I mean, how tall was that sign, Steve? I mean, I think it was 20 feet,
like 20 foot or so, and then we had 40-foot trees behind it, and it was set back from the corner 40-50 feet, so there's a lot of space that we filled up and really added some tremendous influence. And this is one of the most popular resorts in town. And they didn't have good lighting on that entry corner. And so when we made that thing pop and you could see it from a quarter mile down the road when they were pulling into the property, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, well, believe it or not, we're coming up on time. I told you this goes by fast. So the one thing I ask of all my guests, and it's kind of getting a little corny, but if you could go back in time and talk to young Steve Hoover, what advice would you give him?
In landscaping, right? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You know what? I would just say, work hard, really is. It's all about what you put into it. You get out what you put into it. You continue pushing. You don't look the challenges as failures and look at it as learning opportunities, and just keep pushing forward and making your knowledge available to those around you.
Awesome. Well, Steve, I thank you for joining us today. It's always a pleasure, and I'm still disappointed that we missed Barrett Jackson this year, but we got to get together, go see some car shows.
For sure, Brian. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Thank you for listening to Light Logic. We want to hear from you. Would you like to be featured on Light Logic? Email us at info@uniquelighting.com.